Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Amy and I'm a cruelty-free makeup enthusiast. In today's video, I want to talk about products that I'm really glad that I didn't pick up, particularly eyeshadow palettes, because I love eyeshadow palettes. And for me, sometimes it's really hard to kind of like rein it in and say, no, you already have this in your collection, or you know what, maybe let's wait till we get some reviews out and see if it's actually worth buying. So I was feeling like a little sassy, a little bossy today. I've got my blazer on, and I thought this would be really fun just to kind of have a chat with you, and I'm really interested to know your thoughts and opinions if you ever picked any of these products up, or if you're glad you didn't pick them up, or any other items that I didn't mention that you are happy that you never picked up as well. So feel free to comment down below. Please remember to like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content. So to kick it off, one palette I'm really glad I never got was the Stila Happy Hour palette. This is a gorgeous, like, nude toned with like pops of pastel. There's like these shimmery glitter shades with beautiful mattes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to pick this up. It's so pretty, and the packaging just looks so luxurious. And it's so funny because I remember saying, you know what, let me hold off and wait till I see reviews, because this palette actually retails for $52, which is pretty hefty. I think even for Stila, that's a pretty hefty price. So I had actually waited. I saw some friends pick it up. Two of my friends, Gigi Marie and then Lauren from Little Blushing Birdie, also picked them up. They did reviews, and I am so glad I didn't pick this up, because I just saw from everyone on the internet going, you know what, the shimmers are gorgeous, but the mattes are just so powdery. There's so much fallout. It's not blendable, because I think one of the things that they claim to have is superior blending and uniform color, which is not what they had at all. So I highly recommend you check out Lauren's review on her website, because honestly, it didn't turn out that well, and it wasn't worth the price point, so I'm glad I didn't buy it. So moving on, another palette I'm really glad I never got was the Jouer Tan Lines Matte Shimmer and Luxe Foil Eyeshadow Palette. It's a lot of words to say, but I remember when I first saw this color story, I just loved it. I loved like the melony pink colors, and then you have like a yellow and the lime green, and then the shimmers, and then you've got like a brown, and then you've got a perfect color to put in your crease and all that kind of stuff. And I've just always wanted to try Jouer eyeshadows, and this was the one that was the most appealing to me. I was so happy it was also vegan, and when I just looked into the reviews, a lot of people were complaining that the pigment just wasn't there, which I was really disappointed to hear, because I've heard, I can't remember what the eyeshadow palette is, but I think it was all like foil shadows. That one had really rave reviews. And then again, my friend Gigi Marie showed me the palette, and she dipped her fingers in to swatch, and there was like nothing. Like there was no pigment, and I remember being so disappointed. I mean, my wallet is happy because I saved myself, how much is this even going to? $34? Okay, so that's not terrible for a palette, but I am kind of disappointed to hear that, you know, it didn't do that well. Again, because the color story is just so pretty, but a lot of people are like, meh. So I'm like, meh. I saved myself some money. The next eyeshadow palettes I kind of want to talk about are from Morphe in general. So I've never really been drawn to Morphe eyeshadows, particularly the really large artistry palettes that have, I don't know what, 20 to 30 shades in them. I get so overwhelmed when I see them. In the cruelty-free world, Morphe's kind of like, everyone's on the fence about how they feel about the brand. I'm kind of like in the middle about it. I definitely do believe that they were private labeling when they first started. I mean, if you look at the palettes, you know, anything between BH Cosmetics, Morphe, Coastal Scents, those kind of brands, Crown, all of them look the same. So they definitely were private labeling, most likely with Crown. And so when brands private label, it's really hard to discern if they're actually even cruelty-free, because the brand that they're private labeling with, are they cruelty free? And I know now, I want to say that they're PETA approved with the Beauty Without Bunnies, but PETA is also not the most reliable source in my opinion. And they're still not on Logical Harmony's list. So I feel like they're a very like gray area brand. So enough about that. I just want to talk about their eyeshadows in general. I just always hear that they have like mixed reviews. Like some of the shades are really good, some of them are kind of a miss, but because you get, I don't know, $1 per shade in a giant eyeshadow palette, that it is, such a good deal. But to be honest, I've never been attracted to them. And I don't think they have enough diversity for me to want to go buy a palette. And by diversity, I mean like color diversity and the color stories of the eyeshadow palette. So like if I look at the 350, it's just a bunch of brown with orange. If I look at the 3502 Second Nature Artistry palette, it's even more brown. So like I feel like I'm having a Kimberly Clark moment when I'm like, well, I don't know what I want to do. I want to do something really simple and I've got, 20 shades of brown to choose from. What do you pick? Like they might have the slightest difference in pigment, but they just look so much the same. And then the palettes with color, they are pretty, but then there's just, again, too many of the same colors kind of together. So I think the only one I was ever really even possibly drawn to was the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette or the James Charles, because they have kind of just different colors in them, but it's just too many. It's just too many shades. Oh, there was a purple one. That's what it was. There was a really pretty like pinky purple one. Let me see if I can find it. Do they even have it anymore? Yeah, I don't see it. But there was like a really pretty, like all these shimmery purples and pinks. And again, they're gorgeous, but it's like, it's just too many to choose from. Like, how do you pick? And again, with looking the same, it's like the 35R, the 35K, the 35T, 25A, 25B, they all look the same. They just like coppery bronze, warm toned shades. Ooh, I'm getting sassy. That's really unlike me, but I don't know. I still don't get the appeal. Like, can someone explain it to me? Can someone tell me? Can someone please get them to confirm if they're really cruelty free or not? Because I would really like to know. There are some stuff I would love to try, like, from, I don't know, their setting spray. Setting spray looks kind of good. Another kind of whole brand that I'm happy I've never purchased from, and I don't know if it's fair of me to say this or not, but just Glamlite in general. They're the people who do like the pizza palettes and the burger palettes, and everything's just like food related. And not that I'm against food, like don't get me wrong, I love when things are inspired by fruit, particularly because I love fruit so much. That's like such a, I don't know, I feel like that's such a typical vegan thing to say, like, oh, give me all my fruit. But I don't know, like, I don't know how I feel about like giant pizzas and I don't know, like food, it's weird, like with makeup. I don't know, that might just be me. I can get it, like when things can be kind of like kitschy or silly, or they're a little like ha ha ha, rubbing your elbow kind of thing. But I know that they don't get really bad reviews, but it's just the whole thing seems just very gimmicky to me, and I almost can't get past what's on the cover to get into what's actually in the shadows, if that makes any sense. So the next eyeshadow palette I'm glad I didn't buy is not because of anything with reviews or quality or that I have an issue with it, but it is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Alyssa Edwards collaboration, and that palette is really, really pretty. I think where Anastasia may have made a mistake is that they released it immediately after the Riviera palette. Now I have the Riviera palette. I think it is so beautiful, particularly for summer, and it was really this first time that they had an all palette, like a whole palette that was with mostly bright shades. I think it is beautiful. So because Alyssa Edwards came out so quickly after that, like I mean, how much time passed? A month, maybe two, not even, when they released these palettes back to back. And I just thought that some of the colors just were too similar, particularly with the pinks and the purples. And I just felt like I didn't need both of them. I could just get along with just one or the other. And because I already picked this up because I think it is so beautiful and so easy to work with, and I love Anastasia formulas, that's why I didn't pick up that one. But I'm sure it's really pretty, but again, I think it was just too much you know, pressed pigment eyeshadow palettes back to back for my taste. Another eyeshadow palette I'm really glad I didn't pick up was the Erica Jane Pretty Mess collaboration with Too Faced. I have nothing against Erica Jane. I know a little bit about her. I guess she's a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She seems really pretty, like a lot of fun. But I looked at that palette and I went, it kind of just looks like any other plain Too Faced palette that's come out. They did have some pretty like nudes and like pinky colors, but I don't think it was anything special to Too Faced. And to me, it just seemed kind of silly. Part of some of the names with that collection too, like I know this isn't the eyeshadow palette, but that damn body powder that was called like Pat the Puss or something like that, and the S's had like little dollar signs, and it was just so, it's just so tacky, you know, and I feel so frustrated sometimes with Too Faced. I'm like, decide what kind of brand you want to be, you know, because I do love a lot of their products. I do love the cutesy stuff, and I do love, you know, the classy side of them too, but I think when they go like the really sexual route, for me personally, I just think it's really silly. You know, they have those face masks, which I hate the name Glow Job. I mean, no. I don't want your glow job Too Faced. You know, it has glitter in it, and the glitter gets into your skin, and I'm like, wouldn't that cut the skin? A whole long rant here, but I'm really glad I never picked that up. So to further expand on the whole Too Faced kind of doing a lot of the same things, I kind of want to segue into Christmas releases, particularly with brands like Tarte and Too Faced. I think they're kind of like the heavy hitters when I think about this. They kind of been releasing the same products year after year after year, and I mean, it's all like a bunch of nude shades and then maybe like a pop of blue and like some darker shades, and it's in usually really cute packaging, and then you can probably get it like a discount set, like it'll come with, you know, like a deluxe size mascara and maybe like a lip product. You know, Tarte had that pineapple, which I know is normally a symbol of, I forgot what it is, it's goodwill or something like that. It's actually very common around Christmas. I know people thought it was kind of tropical and like, why would you do this in Christmas time? But one Christmas I actually worked at Williams-Sonoma, and I remember they put the pineapple on everything for Christmas because it symbolized something, I can't remember. So I mean, that kind of made sense, but everything just looks the same year after year and just put in really different cutesy packaging. They're probably great for people who don't play with makeup, like maybe that's the only makeup they get for the year, and then they have the whole year to use it, and then Christmas comes around and they're like, yay, I get a new palette and I really like it, and they just use it. But for, I think, collectors or makeup enthusiasts, to me it's just not anything really new, and I'm glad I haven't spent my money on something like that in a really long time. I think the last time I purchased a Christmas set was years ago. I want to say maybe 2015, 2016, Too Faced Le Grand Chateau, which had like the different palettes, and again I ended up giving that away because it was just too much of a similar thing for me. I think Christmas can be done very well. The Sultry palette was like, you can use it for the holidays, but you could still continue using it all year, and it was unique enough. It didn't look like anything that they've really released before, so I just thought that's a unique holiday collection that doesn't scream necessarily like Christmas, but you can still use it Christmas and during the rest of the year, and people are still talking about it, whereas these palettes from, you know, Christmas time, you don't really see anyone really using them or talking about them anymore. So let's talk about Smashbox. I love so many of the color stories in the Smashbox cover shop palettes. There was the pinks and palms that had the beautiful pinky corals and like the mint green, and then the bright gold. There was like an all purple one. There was the rose gold one from the Vlada collection, and every time they kind of been calling my name, some of them. I'm like, oh, that is so beautiful. And then I read the reviews and people just don't like them. They say they're very difficult to work with. There's not enough pigment. Like you have to dig into the shadows. And I personally don't like having to dig into my shadows to get pigment. I think that's why so much I love ColourPop or Anastasia. You have to hit the product once or twice and you get that pigment, that color payoff that you want. So I just think it's just not worth it for that price point. I always want to try stuff from Smashbox. I have a very limited experience with their brand. The couple things that I have tried are very nice. But again, those eyeshadow palettes, or just the palettes in general, just I'm very happy I haven't spent my money on, just because they don't seem to be worth the price. Okay guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content here and that we got to kind of have a little bit of a conversation of stuff that we're really happy we never picked up and saved our money on. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we can talk soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.